Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. And I've been lucky enough to have been watching some extremely good World of Warships battles lately, and today's video is no exception. This, in the French Tier 10 light cruiser, the Colbert, is Bulletproof Sprout. He's in a super ship domination battle here on the Okinawa map. For those of you who aren't familiar with... Actually, okay, I'm going to need to back up there. I was about to say, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Colbert, think of it as a French Atlanta. But if you're not familiar with the Colbert, you've probably got no idea what the Atlanta is either, so I do that a lot, don't I? Just keep assuming that most of you are probably going to understand the comparison, but not all of you. So, okay, for the benefit of those of you who don't live, breathe, eat and sleep World of Warships, the Colbert is a light cruiser. But whereas light cruisers are typically armed with 152mm or 6-inch guns, the Colbert, like other light anti-aircraft cruisers, like the USS Atlanta or Austin, is armed with destroyer caliber 5-inch or 127mm guns. And because it's a cruiser, so bigger than a destroyer, she's on with a whole lot more. Like, a whole lot more. I mean, if you look at the Marceau, same tier French destroyer, armed with this caliber of gun, the Marceau gets 8 of them. The Colbert gets 18. They even have a faster reload. Alright, it's only a tenth of a second faster. It's like 3.4 seconds compared to the Marceau's 3.5. But faster is faster, and it's got 10 more of them. So, yeah. This thing can kick out an insane amount of theoretical damage per minute. The theoretical part's important. On paper, this ship can do 590,000 high explosive damage per minute, or 734,000, nearly 750,000 armor piercing damage per minute. However, that's in theory, because these are just 127mm or 5-inch caliber shells, which means that when you're firing particularly at heavily armoured targets like battleships or some of the bigger cruisers, a lot of those high explosive shells are probably just going to shatter. And they might still cause a fire, but they're not going to do any direct damage, and that's even more likely to happen with the 5-inch armour piercing. So in theory, absolutely extreme levels of damage per minute. In practice, knowing what to shoot and when and at what will be the deciding factor in getting anywhere near those levels of damage output. You know, this isn't like HMS Conqueror, where you can just select high explosive and then roll your face all over your keyboard and profit. You have to know what you're doing in this thing. Now, you might be thinking, as he comes under air attack from the Utrecht, 18 dual-purpose 5-inch guns, plus the 20 57mm dedicated anti-aircraft guns that I haven't already mentioned. This thing must be an absolute no-fly zone. Well, realistically, yes. Actually, if you think having 37 anti-aircraft guns makes the slightest bit of difference when you're coming under air attack in this game, then clearly you must be new here. But Jingles, he didn't take any damage from the air attack. Yeah, he dodged it, he didn't shoot him down. But Jingles, he shot down 5 of them, it says, right up there. Yeah, and he shot down 3 of them after they'd dropped their bombs. So 37 anti-aircraft guns shot down 2 aircraft from 2 strikes that mattered. Back to the theoretical on-paper DPM output of the Colbert. It's also affected by the pretty shitty shell ballistics of those lightweight 5-inch shells. The guns have a maximum range of 13.8 kilometers. Which is pretty bad for a Tier 10 cruiser. Even a Tier 10 light cruiser. Well, it's about standard for a Tier 10 light cruiser. It's not good. But what's worse is that it takes them 12 seconds to get there. And a ship can travel a fair distance in 12 seconds. That limited range on the guns... there's the Dmitry Donskoy. That's the radar cruiser that has him lit up there. Although at the moment, the only ship, because of his careful positioning, the only ship on the enemy team that appears to be in a position... Now wait, there's some shots coming in from over the island. Okay. Very limited number of ships on the enemy team that are able to shoot directly at him. Although obviously the Utrecht has been trying and failing and continuing to drop airstrikes on him. Yeah, he missed again. That 13.8 kilometre range, however... Oh, look at this superstar in the black. Now that's my kind of teammate. Go on, Sprout. And he even thanks him as well. Good lad. But yeah, I will address this point. The 13.8 kilometre range of the guns is this ship's biggest Achilles heel. Not just because you can only shoot at targets 13.8 kilometres away, but because if you're shooting at somebody, you're within 13.8 kilometres of them, and you only have 16mm of armour plating, which means ships with 229mm or higher caliber guns, so basically half of the cruisers and all the battleships you're going to face, can overmatch your armour and citadel you from any direction. Note Sprout switching to the armour piercing when he had the broadside of the Republic to shoot at, and then back to the high explosive when it was angled. I kind of feel bad for the black here, because the Republic was able to dodge every single one of its torpedoes. I mean, that's good news for Sprout because he gets the kill, but I feel like the black at least deserved a torpedo hit. Oh well, never mind. That Utrecht is nothing if not persistent. There's another airstrike. He's gone for the Valparaiso now because you can actually see him, although it looks like he missed him as well. But, I mean, while you can criticise his aim, you can't criticise his tactics. This is the ideal circumstances in which to target somebody for an airstrike when they're taking cover behind an island and therefore have limited room to manoeuvre. So, you know, I can't criticise his decision making, but his aim leaves an awful lot to be desired. High explosive is the ammunition type of choice on this ship, as you can see. He's only really using the armour piercing when he's got a broadside target to shoot at. And if it's a battleship, he's usually, even then, only aiming for the superstructure. He's leaving the Donskoy alone for the moment and he's switching fire to the Musashi to help the old Valparaiso out there. This is extremely dangerous, of course, because the Valparaiso isn't showing a broadside to the Musashi, and the Musashi can overmatch Sprout here from any angle, so he's being extremely careful not to show him a hint of broadside. Yep, Musashi's shooting it in. Here it comes. Oh, I think he just over-penetrated. It was a hit. I think it was only one. It looked like he over-penetrated the bows. If that had gone anywhere near the midsection of the ship, this could have ended very, very differently. But it didn't. And now he can afford to take his time and give the Musashi the opportunity to die in the shade as the Musashi reloads and backs up because ouch, ouch, hot, hot, hot. And this rain of high explosive comes in because, don't forget, 3.4 second reload, 18 guns, and that's the base reload. You can see that he's got the top grade gunner skill active, so enemy ship within your standard detectability range, you get a further 8% reduction in your reload, and every one of these shells, and I've lost count of them, has a 7% chance of setting fire to a target. So reap what you sow, Musashi. If you're going to shoot at this guy, you'd best kill him. And there's the Arsonist Award, and there's Sprout's second kill. Oh, there's the Utrecht. Fuck to you, Maggie Thatcher. I should probably explain that one. So, during the first Gulf War, Storytime, there's a radio channel that all warships, and probably all commercial ships, are legally required to monitor. IMM channel 16. It's the emergency broadcast channel. So you keep a bridge watch on that radio channel. And if you hear anything on it, somebody's in the shit, and you need to help if you can. And because the Iraqis knew that we were listening to this channel, they would talk shit to us on this channel overnight. Highly illegal, of course. The channel's only supposed to be used for emergency transmissions, but they clearly didn't give a shit. Oh, did you see that? I mean, he didn't get the kill, the Vermont did, but the Annapolis jumped out of the water there. I think it was actually on the rocks at the time. But anyway, yes. So the Iraqis would use IMM channel 16 at night to try to, talk shit to us. The problem was they just really weren't very good at it. I can remember sitting on the bridge on a really, really boring night watch with nothing happening. And Channel 16's up and the Iraqis are just going, fuck to you, Maggie Thatcher. Maggie Thatcher was the Prime Minister at the time. Fuck to you, Maggie Thatcher. Maggie Thatcher fucks dogs. I mean, I didn't vote for her. I didn't give a shit. Maggie Thatcher sucks dogs' dicks. George Bush takes dogs' dicks up the ass. Actually, I take it back. They were pretty good at it. We weren't allowed to respond, of course. We'd have gotten in the shit. But But what can I say? It was amusing. The Iraqi radio operators were clearly enjoying themselves, and it brightened up an otherwise uneventful night watch on the bridge. Anyway, Cyclone's closed in, visibility down to 8 kilometres, and I'm pretty sure that Sprout's spider sensor's tingling. I'm equally sure that the Grosser Kurfürst's was not, because of course you get torpedoed by the Jinan. Seriously, why would you go around a blind corner in the middle of a cyclone with visibility down to 8 kilometres when there's a Jinan waiting with its deep water torpedoes? I mean, whatever. Sprout isn't falling for that old gag. We know the Austin's on the other side of the island on the left side of this passage. Somebody's just spotted him. So somebody's within 8 kilometres and didn't get counter-spotted, so that has to be the Trump, which is probably who's flipping the cap at Bravo. We know the Austin is there. Yep, here comes the Trump's airstrike. And we know the Jinan's close because it just torpedoed the Grosser Kurfürst. Basic rule of thumb here, kids. Unless you know exactly what's lying in wait for you around the blind corner of an island in the middle of a cyclone when visibility's down to 8 kilometres, don't go around that corner. Equally bad, or possibly worse, if you do know what's lying in wait for you around that corner and it's going to torpedo you and sink you, then also don't go around that corner. Hold on to that thought. Two things. First, do you see what he's shooting at? No, you can't, and neither can he. But he is still shooting at something, even if he can't see it, because somebody else can see it. And its position is therefore revealed on the mini-map, and if you look at the mini-map, that's what he's aiming at. And the other thing, I may have just mentioned this, note the USS Salem sailing around the middle of a blind corner, in the middle of a cyclone, visibility reduced to 8 kilometres. So desperate for the kill on the Austin, he's sailed out in front of not one but 2 battle cruisers, the Irresistible and the Siegfried, and it's the Irresistible who sinks him. But if Sprout isn't careful, the Siegfried's going to do the same to him. The Irresistible is in the, let's call them battle cruiser, battleship line of the Royal Navy, and the Siegfried, as a German cruiser, obviously isn't, but it effectively meets the same profile. A Type O battle cruiser. The Germans never built them, but they had built other ships that basically fit the same profile. The Type O was the logical continuation of that type of German warship, and it fits the literal definition of a battle cruiser. Fast enough to outrun anything that would outgun it, like an actual battleship, and chunky enough and powerful enough to kick the living shit out of any cruiser fast enough to catch it. Armed with 380mm guns, and with cruiser rather than battleship accuracy, this is some of the worst possible news that Sprout could have had. Now, he's been lucky, he's taken a couple of hits. And remember, these are 380mm guns, and you only require 229mm of caliber in order to overmatch the 16mm of plating from Colbert. In this ship, your manoeuvrability is what keeps you alive. That and your angling. Ooh, he was lucky to not get citadeled there. I think, of all of the shots that the Siegfried has fired that have actually hit him, all but one have over-penetrated. I think he only really took the one solid hit there. And I'm going to say he got lucky, and he did. There was certainly an element of luck there. But he made life as difficult as possible for the Siegfried to actually land a good hit on him. And once again, because the Cyclone is still in force, look at the mini-map, and you'll see why he's aiming where he's aiming. And he is actually scoring hits. That's actually the Libertad that he's scoring hits on. Speaking of the Libertad, there's a division on the enemy team. If you look at the chat window, they're doing extremely well. They've just got the Strike Team Award, amongst many others, and 2 of them are still alive. The Austin's gone down, but the Libertad and the Trump are still fighting fit. The Libertad, Sprout was just showering with 5-inch high explosive, was last seen heading in the direction of the only cap circle that Sprout's team currently hold, Alpha, up there in the northwest. This is why Sprout is asking the team how low on health is the Libertad, because he's recognising the fact that he's in the best position to go after it, if not the best ship to go after it, because he absolutely isn't. Oh, and they've just lost their Bourgogne, so they're now outnumbered 3-5, and the enemy are flipping that central cap at Bravo. Knowing how many hit points the Libertad has, I mean, it's not going to change what he has to do, because nobody else is going after it, and yep, somebody's flipping the cap circle at Alpha. So he knows it's the Libertad. He'd feel a lot more comfortable knowing how many hit points it has, and he'd also like to know exactly where it is. So he's looking to see, there it is, which direction the anti-aircraft fire is coming from, targeting the depth charge attack plane. So he knows the Libertad is smack bang on the other side of that island. What he would love to know, there we go, is which way his guns are pointing. And we just saw him shooting, and he's shooting again. So we know his guns aren't pointing this way. First he's trying to, do the standard use island cover thing and see if he can land some shots over the top, and it doesn't look like he can. The Libertad is just too close to the island on the other side. But that brief glimpse told him that the Libertad is showing broadside and is moving out, so switches to the armour piercing because it's the highest theoretical damage per minute and he's got a broadside to shoot at. Floors the engines and starts doing the hippy shake, because when you get into a gunfight with a Libertad, if the main gun batteries don't get you, the secondaries will, and he's got him. And more or less at exactly the same time as the Tromp torpedoed and sank the Valparaiso. There's only him and the Piemonte left. Oh, that looks suspiciously like a full health Mecklenburg. Piemonte? He's asking him to back the hell up. And to be fair to the Piemonte, it looks like he is trying to duck into cover behind an island. Maybe? Not really sure. Can't really tell from just looking at the minimap. But he's certainly not sailing toward the Mecklenburg. So there's that. The bad news is it hasn't made the slightest bit of difference, because clearly the Tromp was spotting him for the Mecklenburg, and it was in fact the Tromp's airstrike that finished him. So let's just summarise the situation for you. Bulletproof Sprout is now the last member of his team alive. He is 50 points behind. Yes, the scores are reversed, which means he can't just take the money and run. He is outnumbered 3-1. He's in a light cruiser against a destroyer, a radar cruiser, and a German battleship. He only has the one cap circle, as do the enemy team, but there is zero chance that he's going to be able to successfully take and hold another. So that one that he's got is the only one that he's ever going to have. The only way he can win this match is to sink things. And he's in a light cruiser fighting a German battleship, a destroyer with an airstrike, and a radar cruiser. Good luck with that. The only real defense he has is his speed. And that doesn't just, by the way, mean going as fast as you can and swerving left to right. I mean, that will often work. The faster you can go, the better. And the Colbert is not slow, but it can be predictable. And what he just did there was instead reduce the throttle all the way down and then watch the Mecklenburg shots overshoot. Which is exactly what happened. I think he's actually going to win this fight. Remind me, that was a full health battleship, wasn't it? Well, it was. He didn't get away scot-free. He is obviously still spotted by the Tromp. Oh, and there's the Dmitry Donskoy. I was wondering where he was. I mean, we haven't seen him since the very beginning of the battle. So what did he have that was more important to do than assist the Mecklenburg? I guess this is a question we're never going to know the answer to, because for some reason the enemy team have allowed what should have been a 3-on-1 fight to devolve into 3 separate 1-on-1 fights. Well, I mean, not exactly 3 1-on-1 fights, but the Tromp's only contribution has been to launch the occasional airstrike and launch the occasional torpedo. He's certainly not shooting at anybody. Which means the Dmitry Donskoy has just gone down. Here comes another airstrike. And the airstrikes aren't nothing. I mean, that one did knock a fifth of his health off, destroy a gun turret, cripple his engine and set a double fire. So, I mean, you know, they're not nothing. But the Tromp's unwillingness to commit to a gunfight, in direct assistance of his teammates who were getting into gunfights, means that he's in an extremely... I mean, I don't know, maybe that last airstrike certainly hurt. Maybe he can keep going with the airstrikes. He's going to have to do better than that, because now he's in an awkward situation. Yes, he does have 2 cap circles, and he could take the money and run and win on points if Bulletproof Sprout lets him, and he's clearly not going to, because the Colbert is an extremely fast ship, and it's therefore a very difficult target, particularly in open water when he has all the room to manoeuvre, to hit with airstrikes. And he's in the cap circle with less than a minute to go, neutralising the 1 cap advantage that the Tromp was enjoying before the Tromp could pull ahead on points, which means the Tromp is now lagging on points and has to kill him in order to win. And the airstrikes didn't do it, and he's delayed long enough to allow Sprout to actually recover some health, which means the Tromp, whether he wants to or not, and I guarantee when you're facing a light cruiser armed with 18 5-inch guns with a 3-second reload and you're in a destroyer, you do not want to get into a gunfight with it unless it's already occupied trying to avoid getting blown out of the water by, oh I don't know, a Mecklenburg or a Dmitry Donskoy on your team. He doesn't enjoy that particular luxury anymore. So that is Bulletproof Sprout's 7th kill. Last ship left alive on his team in a 3 versus 1, doing nearly 400,000 damage and pulling off the most amazing clutch win with nearly 4,000 base experience I've seen in, well, since the last time I saw somebody scoring 4,000 base experience and pulling off an amazing clutch win. So, Bulletproof Sprout. Wow, what a game. Congratulations. Thoroughly well-deserved victory. And I hope everybody enjoyed watching him achieve it, because you don't see a battle like that every week. That was death by 1,000 cuts. I've never seen so many ships destroyed at 381 hit points at a time. Featuring Bulletproof Sprout in the French Tier 10 cruiser, the Colbert. Take care, folks, and I'll catch you next time.